Okay, good morning. I just woke up, but um, last night I got a short piece of sleep, and then I was up for hours, and then I just had I think I slept for 2 hours just a while ago. Um, it looks like Manicam is working okay. It looks like the audio is working okay here. I've been messing with the audio. Uh, right now I've got the Sound Blaster X4 hooked up for audio. Audio is something that I worry about. In fact, the last video I made, let's see, I made a video. I'm not sure how many hours ago, and uploaded it, and there was zero audio on the thing. So I think a couple people watched it. Well, they probably didn't watch it very long. So I deleted it. So it's looking, the camera is looking good. Audio is good right now. I've downloaded Cyberlink, and I don't think I've done anything with it yet. But I'll be able to do some stuff with that. Let me jump over here and don't know if you can hear that aircraft or not. Let's see. What did I want to show you? There was something occurred to me that I wanted to show you, and I can't remember what it is now. So let me go over to let's go here. Yeah, I did. I find all the time, not this that I'm showing you now, but things that I'm surprised about. I think I put one. If you come to my site, YouTube site, and you go up here now and you click on where it says YouTube Buddy. I think this oh, okay. This takes you where you can sign up for, if you have a YouTube site, where you can sign up for YouTube Buddy. I pay the $6 a month to YouTube Buddy, and there's a whole bunch of things that are automatically put into your software so that you can do things automatically, generate a title, automatically what, I don't even know. Oh, tags. Just a whole bunch of things that make it worth $6 a month. It'd be nice to have to pay, but I can't afford to pay $26 a month. I mean, I'm on a fixed income, But, okay, so this isn't really well, let me show you this. If you go here, it shows you what you can get for free to help you with YouTube. scheduled publish, scheduled video update, sunset videos. Now these are all things that are free. You can see on the thing yourself though. Bulk find and replace and append, bulk thumbnail overlays, and you just see. And you can see over here what I get extra is where it says Pro. But what I thought I found a link to, let me see if it's, let me go back to, let's see, maybe it's just, did I click on this or did I click on this? They look the same. No, okay, that's just what I clicked on, so let me delete that and click on this little thing here. No, okay, it's the same link. That's the same link. So, okay, this is it, I guess, maybe. Yeah. So up here at the top, see my mouse? Okay. Up here at the top, Social Blade. Okay, there it is. The reason I put that there is, there you'll see information about, in case you're wondering, how many uploads I have, number of subscribers, total video views, what channel type I have. I pick people. You could pick, I forget. And you can see I've been with YouTube since August 27th of 2005. And here's other information that'll kind of give you an idea. My estimated earnings is at $2 to $31 a month. And that's pretty accurate. Then there's a whole bunch of information here. But if you're watching somebody's video or you're curious about somebody, you can go up here and where it says where the thing that says enter YouTube username. If you put in the username, then it will take you to somebody else's site, and you'll get information about them. Like I could put in the raccoon guy, the raccoon whisperer or something like that, and get a little bit of an idea. It's not 100%, and some of these things that people make, they're doing they have advertisements for other things. There's a guy that's selling that green stuff that my son drinks. Yuck. And that's a movie, the guy that does reviews about what's coming, and he does a whole bunch of stuff really does a great job. In fact, I got a list that I wrote it down as I watched stuff that's coming on Netflix in July. All the Star Trek things, Snow White and the Huntsman, the Karate Kid, the Sweetest Thing, Uncle Buck, Tom Segura on July 4th. Well, I have one of his new comedy. I like his comedy. The Outlaws, Captain Underpants, Quarterback, Puss in Boots, Bird Box, Ride Along, The Clone, Tyrone, Big Eyes, Maple No Man. Is that another comedy? Paradise, The Watchers, Anyway, so uh, anyway, this, if you remember, if you're wondering sometime, go to the top of my masthead or whatever, and you can find out a lot of it. Because I think everybody likes to know what else? I'm going to pause for a little bit, organize thoughts in it. So don't touch the mouse. I'll be right back. Thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm back. I'm not sure. You may have back here right here is the door. So you may have seen my grown son come in. He went to the bank for me. The bank's half a block from here, but it's going down, coming back up. It's like, it's like a hill. So anyway, he went to the bank for me. I don't know what I'd do without him. I don't know what we'd do without him. Anyway, he went to the bank and made a deposit for me. So what I guess back to this subject. Up there, you can, if you're curious about somebody like the raccoon guy or who else, anybody with their username, the name of their, if you put it in, you'll find out information about them. But for an awful lot of people, they have extra things going. Now I just got $29 in my bank the other day, and that was from Amazon, because somebody used a link and went to Amazon and purchased something. And if you're set up with Amazon, you get 1 to 3% or something. It varies, which doesn't cost you anything. And then there's other ways to. The guy I told you about that does the things, he promotes that green stuff that my son buys. It's expensive, and it's supposed to be, and you mix water with it. You put a scoop or two or something in there, and it's supposed to be good. And a lot of people follow it. And I can't remember where, but there's some place, some foreign country. I think the only thing they have is piles of this green stuff, and a lot of people use it. My other son, when we were in Miami, when he was going to air traffic controller school and everything. Well, it really wasn't the school for that. It was the college degrees you have to get in air traffic control degree. Then if the FAA decides to hire you, then I've talked about that before, then they would send you to a school for a while. But my son there was it wasn't this green stuff. It was something else that you see boxers, wrestlers, and all this kind of stuff that they take. And at that place we were living there, which I really liked, actually, I really liked it, and it was right across a bridge right over to the mall that I worked at, Dadeland Mall. But so I slept in the living room, dining room, and that was fine with me. I had the bed there, and I could look right out to the patio doors and see the plants that I put out there growing. I put out milkweed and the what do they call now? Monarch butterflies would come there. They would eat the weed, and then they would lay eggs, and then the eggs would, hatch, and then be baby, whatever. Really, but anyway, my son there, while we were the 3 years, 3.5. Well, we did move. We were there for maybe 2.5 years or 3 years, and then we moved and stayed at this other place, which was. But anyway, at the place that I'm talking about, there was a patio doors I could look out and look at the plants and all that kind of stuff. And that was really nice. But back to my son. Oh, this stuff, when he would open up this container, this stuff smelled like plastic. And I said, I think that stuff is, he shouldn't be taking that, but he did. And he buffed up some. But anyway, so only people doing YouTube and Twitter and whatever you're doing, there are things that you can sell. Darlene, my ex-wife, I'm 62, and she's, I think it's 9 years younger than I am. We've been divorced. Okay, I'm 82. Okay, we were married 12 years, so she was 18, and I was 26 when we got married. So 26, that would be 38 years. I think I was like 40. So I'm 82 now, so we've been, that's how we've been divorced. Now, why did I get onto that subject? I don't remember. Anyway, with this, here you can look, that's what I was just trying to get across to you, that I make almost nothing from Amazon sales. There was one month I think I made $98 or $89, something like that. But most times I don't make anything. And so there's Amazon links. Then there are links from, or money from YouTube. And that's the thing you see here where it says, that I estimated earnings is $2 to $31. Yeah, that's me. Now you can't, but there are people who have other amounts coming in. And so you really have to be, I watch a lot of YouTube videos. And I've seen YouTube videos where somebody will be like at a fire, something's on fire, a filling station, or a car has crashed or something, and somebody will be making a YouTube video of it. And a neighbor or somebody say, "Hey, Bob, are you getting that?" "Yeah, I'm getting it, Hey, I'm going to make some money. Going to upload this to YouTube." Nope, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You have to get a lot of traffic. I've got, let's see, I've got almost 4,000 subscribers. And, but a lot of these people, well, I think too, which I've mentioned before, let me pull up something else here though that I wanted to talk about. Now let's see. Maybe, let's just go here. Oh, okay. You know, back many, many years ago, when affirmative action was, came into being, I remember, like, then it was McNeil Lear, thing from public television, National Public Television or whatever. I watched that news all the time, and they discussed it on there. Affirmative action, not just for colleges, but for jobs and things like that. And my opinion was, no, I know that injustice is, unbelievably bad injustice. I spent a summer when I was in grade school in Barnwell, South Carolina, and a summer in the South with their chain gangs and, two water fountains, white and colored, 4 restrooms. And for somebody like me, that was like difficult. 4 restrooms as I'm going through. Okay, white female, black, female. There was like hard for me to have 2 choices. I was like, wait a minute, which am I? Stuff like that. But I thought back then for a long time when this debate was going on about affirmative action. No, I blogged about it back then, not on YouTube because YouTube didn't exist then. Or did it? No, it didn't, I don't think. Because my thing was, no, companies, businesses, and all this, they just should hire the best person for the job and not give any emphasis because this person is a black person or a Hispanic or something like that, that shouldn't enter into it. And so that was my position. And then eventually affirmative action, went into effect. And then and then on, like, they were doing reports on it, 10 years of affirmative action or whatever it was. And they had these experts on, McNeil Lear, or maybe it had changed, maybe they are retired or something. Then they had these experts that came on and they said, okay, 10 years of looking at, the affirmative action. And then they had these people come in, had a bunch of black, business people and people like that. Yeah, oh yes, this has worked great. And because one of the things I said when I was like opposed to affirmative action, that it was going to come back and bite people because, people would say, well, I can't get a job because this other person's getting a job. Why should he get a job over me? I had nothing to do with, I had all that, and I talked about that. But then they had these experts on and everything, and I remember blogging about this, that they had these experts on, and I changed my mind because they had these experts on, and they said that things were much, much better. There was, the percentage of black executives or CEOs or all these different things had improved and gone up. And then I said, well, okay, well, in my blog or whatever, that that I was mistaken, that there wasn't a problem, with it. Apparently it's working a little bit. And that's good, moving some people up, giving people better, opportunities, and those people are helping other people and whatever. And then I also then talked about, but I thought it was going to be that there'd be a backlash would come back. I'm not sure if I used the word backlash, but that there would be people saying, and then after I changed my opinion, oh, okay, well, this worked out okay. I was wrong. I probably said jokingly, that's the only time in my life I was ever wrong about anything. I've been wrong. But then I was working hospital security, and then I was a reserve police officer, I think, at that time, and all that kind of stuff. I forget exactly what was going on. But then there were police officers that I would be dealing with. You know, they'd come into the hospital or something, you know. And I actually remember this one police officer, you know, there were several police officers there, Research Medical Center, I remember. And the one white police officer said, you know, see that sergeant over there? It was a female sergeant, and she was black, you know. And he said, that's what this has become, you know, now with this affirmative action, you know, she can't hardly read, she can't hardly write a report and everything. And I thought, I kind of doubt that, you know. But he was bad-mouthing her. And then there was other people. Then there was people that I knew that were maybe security officers or something like that, or not, you know, security officers and not anything like that. Something else would say, you know, well, I want to be a police officer, but because of affirmative action, they're hiring blacks and they're hiring women and they're hiring Hispanics but people that were telling me this, I think I was thinking, you're not, you know, you didn't get the job, you know, because you shouldn't be a police officer, you know, or whatever it is. And then there were other things I saw. Then there was a negative thing coming out. And now the Supreme Court has gutted affirmative action in college admissions. Landmark decision says colleges can no longer take race into consideration as a expressed factor in admissions. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a bad idea, actually. I was right to begin with. It was a bad idea. But I think the main thing that I've heard all this stuff about, you know, white guys, who said that they were, you know, I've been trying to get into, you know, hired by the police department, but they won't hire me because they're hiring blacks and they're hiring women and they're hiring Hispanic people. And a whole bunch of those people, I thought, well, thank God you can't get in. But I thought that's not the reason these people couldn't get in. That people couldn't get in for other reasons. People are still talking about how nervous they are about AI. I actually have used it a couple of times. Used it, and the results on one of my YouTube videos, in fact, I put that someplace, that AI created I entered in for the search on artificial intelligence that creates stuff, and I put in, who is Howard's Notebook? And it came back with a really nice thing, you know, about Howard's Notebook that it generated. I didn't put anything in. I just had to do a search. And I thought, that's nice. But there are people who are very concerned. I mean, a lot of people who are very concerned that, you know, computers may take over. I mean, they may take over. There's some good movies that were made about, you know, about that idea. One was a long time ago, but it was a good movie, but it was, you know, now it wouldn't, well, I never see it. Can't remember the name of it, but it wouldn't be, you know, wouldn't be considered a good movie now, but it was back at the time. And that back then, and this is not Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but there's one or two like that. One of his whole series, whatever, is about a computer that takes over. You know, he has to come back. He's a robot. He has to come back from the future or whatever. But there was one before that, and a long time ago, and it was about the United States, USSR, or the United States and the USSR. United States, we had our computer, you know, that controlled, you know, did everything, and we had the Russians had their computer system. It seems to me like the other countries were sort of not so much in this movie, but what happens is, you know, we turned control over to our computer system because the computer system can think faster than we can, make decisions, and all this kind of sort of like the war games. Was that with that movie, which is later on? But what happens is, in this movie, you know, the U.S. computer gets really smart, the USSR computer really gets smart, and then they're set up. They're supposed to, you know, protect, you know, the world and make everything perfect. And then in this movie, the Russian computer and the American computer, they get together. Hey, you know, who's dangerous here? Well, it's these people. So they unite. The Russian computer and the U.S. computer unite, you know, and then they control the world. I remember, you know, like closed circuit TV. In this movie, the President of the United States is, you know, there's cameras in the security cameras in the White House, and he's even when the president is in his, you know, bedroom or whatever, the computer, they're watching to make sure that he doesn't do anything to try to regain control or whatever. So actually now with this artificial intelligence, there's people who actually are sort of afraid of that. Of course, there's other smaller things that right now that they're kind of afraid of, you know. Let's see. Pence is meeting with the Ukrainian president. There's no way that, you know, former Trump Vice President Pence is, you know, going to be, he's not going to be the Republican presidential nominee. This Wagner guy says here, oh, you can't see it, okay. Plan to capture top Russian defense chiefs. The Wagner boss, well, I guess that's his name. I don't think he'll be long alive. I mean, I don't think he's going to be alive very long. Putin kills off news reporters and other people, you know, in his government, everything else. They fall from windows. They die of poisons, radiation poisoning, and all kinds of stuff. So there were some stories back that, and I saw the videos. I'm sure you probably did too, of Putin where his leg was shaking, his hand was shaking like he had palsy or something like that. So I don't know. It says here, eating this food may be a reason why people live to be 100. Okay, I'm 82. Let's see what I didn't eat, you know, that was supposedly good for me. Beans, the magical longevity food. True, these tiny, unassuming morsels are filled with nutrition and are a basis of plant-based diet, good for the planet as well. But how could the family of legumes, which includes beans, peas, lentils, and chickpeas, help us live longer? So anyway, my ex-wife is on the carbs diet. I'm so tired of hearing about it. I jokingly, like my oldest daughter, LaDonna, became a vegetarian and a vegan, and the man she married, I'm not sure if he had any influence, or I think they decided together. And oh God, people that are vegetarians, I think I'd rather have the Baptists come into my door trying to get me to go to their church than deal with the people that are. But these people with their diets are the same, the same way. Now the ex-wife just talks, we get groceries in, if it's something new, let me see that so I can see how many carbs are in it. She orders in blueberries, I think it's blueberries, big, thing of those, and she eats those every day. And now, of course, I've never really drank water. It's a wonder I'm alive. But I actually think now, and I was very healthy until my bladder problems. About 65 years of age, that came in. But I was very healthy, even when I had my first pacemaker put in. I'm on my second pacemaker. First pacemaker lasted 10 years, and I think this one's been for a year or two going. But really, not having any real medical problems, other than an enlarged prostate. That's what men have, But when I'd go to the doctor or something or other, okay, what medicines do you take, okay, well, operations, none. You haven't had any operations? No. You sure you have, like when I had the first pacemaker put in, okay, let's see, what operations have you had? None. You're such and such years old, surely you've had, no. You haven't had any operations at all? Is it, well, I had my tonsils out. No, that doesn't count. So, but now I've got a bunch of problems. Let's see, Supreme Court, let's go back over here to see. Yeah, I think this is going to be about an hour video unless my on Trump, well, number one, I've said this before many times. Donald Trump is stupid, really, really stupid. He should never been in any position of anything. I mean, he and then on the other hand, I think he's mentally, ill, and that doesn't help. It doesn't help that somebody who has the problems that he has, and one of our two political parties, the Republicans, pick him as their supreme leader, and worship him as a god, and and our country's in a really bad shape because of the situation. But I think what he's going to do, the prosecution has, because Trump says when he was president, before he was president, when he was president, after he was president, he when he was president, he would just about every day when he was before the cameras, you know, press conference or whatever it was, he would be saying things that were illegal, things that he was going to do, things that he had done. And just, I mean, just stupid, unbelievably stupid, and mentally ill. And it, you know, it looks like the problem is going to be, you know, he's going to be found guilty of these crimes. Some of them are very, very serious. Then what are you going to do with the president, you know? What are you going to do with a former president of the United States? But anyway, when Trump was president, he'd just be talking before the American people, and he would admit that he was doing something that was illegal, and he just had the idea too that he could, well, he was president, and that he could do, you know, anything that he wanted to do. That he just, and now with the court cases against him, and they're coming. I mean, they're out, and things are lined up. You know, it's clearly he's, you know, guilty of serious crimes. I'm just not, you know. But I think now, because he comes up with these, like he's stupid, and yet he thinks that he's really smart. And he isn't. But I think maybe I think he must be a little bit, God, I can't believe that he isn't. If I were in his position, I would never be in that position. But if I were in that position, might already be dead, because I'd have a heart attack or something, or my brain would explode or something. I couldn't live with that kind of, but he seems to be dealing with it. I mean, he's dealing with it lying and saying things that he shouldn't say, and talking. I mean, those top secret documents and all that type of stuff. The U.S. government and the Justice Department and everybody, what was it, a year or longer? He said he didn't have it. They knew he had it. They contacted him. They explained it needed to be returned, and then finally, they had to do, a search warrant and go and pick it up, and he still held, stuff. But, the court cases are going to be, I think what he's going to do, well, I can't think as stupid as he is. I mean, I think what he's going to do is just try not to show up. Of course, he has showed up for court. But I think what he's going to do is, well, he's delaying now, trying everything he can to delay. But with the prosecutor, it's not really working. They put the case together, and they even, they have released to him and his lawyers. Well, that's part of it. He doesn't pay anybody that works for him, and he doesn't pay lawyers, so he gets the worst lawyers. But even the worst lawyers tell him, don't say anything. Don't say anything at all. And Trump goes on, in front of the cameras and admits, that he showed, classified information and all this kind of stuff. But I think what he's going to do is he's going to not show up for court dates. He'll try that, I think. Now, he's already showed up for the ones where, and he's going to have to appear, I guess, before long, and probably in Georgia when they come up with their case. But I think what he's going to do is he's going to say, they're going to say, okay, your court date is such and such, for whatever reason, And I think he's going to say, well, I couldn't make it because the airlines were overbooked or whatever. Of course, he has his own airplane. uh, but then I think he'd say, "Oh, it needed, couldn't be flown. It had to be such and such." And I think he's just going to keep trying those kind of things. I don't think those are going to work though on, the court system now with him. It may work a little bit because they've given him every kind of break that they can. Released information to him. Of course, you have to, if you're charging somebody with a crime, you have to let them know. There's things about, the information that the prosecutor has to be given to the defense attorney. And if you fail to if you keep stuff back, and then somebody is sentenced to, prison for murder or whatever, and if it comes out, that well, the prosecuting attorney didn't mention this, didn't tell the other, there are things like that. Our system is pretty good, except the problem is the people. But I think what Trump is going to do, because he's so stupid, is he's going to try not to show up for court. And then, they'll be waiting at court with a jury and whatever step you're at. And he'll say that he couldn't make it, something happened, or, whatever. And of course, like I said, the government has given him every courtesy and every, everything that they can. So it doesn't look like they're persecuting a former, political opponent or something like that. But I think what Trump's going to do is he's going to be, well, I couldn't make it to court, because of, and he's going to have, to him, it's going to be, well, yeah, and he's going to be telling his people, well, they expected me to show up at court, and whatever, and I'm a busy, person. I have 100 golf courses or whatever, and and what Trump doesn't understand, but I'm sure his lawyers try to tell him, but he doesn't listen, because if you watch Trump talk, Trump has, before he was elected, Trump was telling, the news media that he knew more than the military, people who were in the military. He knew more than the generals because he went to a grade or high school and college that had ROTC or whatever, which I went to high school at, 4 years, De La Salle Military Academy. We were in uniform all the time. It was a 55C school or something, whatever, in the regulations or whatever. The 55C schools, they were like, well, the school I went to makes it sound like my parents had money or whatever. They didn't. They both worked, but they didn't. It wasn't like Wentworth Military Academy, which you've never heard of. That was in one in Missouri where the kids went and lived, and stuff. But Trump was saying before he was elected, when he was running, that he knew more because he went through ROTC, that he knew more than the generals did. And I was like, my God, and just that kind of stuff. But so I'm sure he's not listening to his lawyers at all, or he would, of course, it's too late now. But I think what his next thing is going to be that he can't show up for some reason. And I think that the court, where normally they wouldn't, they'll cut him, oh, well, okay, well, now you have to be here for this one. Make arrangements and whatever. And I think he'll keep doing it. What he doesn't understand, I'm sure, when he was charged with the crimes that he is charged with, the prosecuting attorney, he's at his resort, he's going around talking to people, all this kind of stuff. The court could have ordered that he be held in prison. Now of course, former president of the United States, it had been, I don't know, the nicest prison, but at that point probably they'd. Well, I don't think so. If he'd pulled that shit back then, I think I think the prosecuting attorney would just, and the judge would just say, okay, well, you'll be, Mr. Trump, and Trump would probably say, call me President Trump. I think they just said, well, you'll be held in prison, and then be brought, when it's your court date, you'll be brought over here for your court date, and then you'll be returned to the prison until the trial is, until the trial is over. Now, I think the government doesn't want to do that because that would play right into his hands, that his crazy followers thinking, well, they're just trying to do this to Trump because they, Trump may be the Republican candidate, but he's not going to win. He's not going to win the election. But what he'll do is destroy the Republican Party. Actually, that's what needs to that's what needs to happen now. The Republican Party has been. It was never. Well, I'm 82. In the beginning, the Republican Party was, the blacklisting that they were responsible for, the House Un-Americans Activity Committee, and famous artists and writers and that type of stuff, couldn't get work. Some of them committed suicide. The blacklisting, all that. The Republican Party was, part of that, but then the Republican Party has just gone through, it's a cult. So what needs to happen, what the American people should do, but they're not going to, the Republicans are not going to, what the American people and all the voters need to do is just vote out all Republicans. Just vote them out. Even if it's your relative, if your father is a mayor or no matter what it is, vote them all out. And then a new party, the new Republican Party, or they could call it something, something else. And then they would pick better people. And then we might have a chance as a country. The Republican Party, they were opposed to Franklin D. Roosevelt being president. Of course, he did get elected quite a few times, but they were opposed to him. They were opposed to Social Security and Medicare and all those things, and everything. So what needs to happen is, and now we've seen the fruits of this, craziness and greed. So the Republican Party just needs to be. So if Trump is their candidate, they're definitely going to lose, and maybe that's the point then where the Republican Party will decide to start a new party and let the cult have this one that they've taken over, which would just, it's doing that anyway. There are things that need to be done and things that could be done, but Trump, Trump came along and took advantage of of Fox News, where you have, lying and all the type of stuff that goes on there. And unfortunately that worked. There was a time in the United States when radio and television stations had to, every year, or maybe every 2 years, they had to prove to the people who were using the service, like local TV stations and local radio stations and all that kind of stuff. There'd be a thing that would pop up like once a year. We are required by federal law to, and you can, if you have any complaints about us or whatever, you can contact, and here's who to contact, or whatever. And then there was a thing of where radio and TV stations had to give opposite points of view. If somebody said the world was, flat, and somebody said it wasn't, and that all these things they had to, and that wasn't the greatest thing, but what they did away with it, and then you have, and the reason they did away with it was because in the past, you had to have a radio frequency or a TV frequency assigned, and the Federal Communications Commission did that. And the Federal Communications Commission, required that fairness was done. They had a fairness policy or whatever. And then when satellites came along and you could broadcast from a satellite, still using a radio frequency though, or a frequency. And when that type of stuff, then the TV stations, radio stations, and groups or whatever, well, we're using frequency 925 megahertz, and that's not, taken out of it, which it is, there's a limited number of frequencies. And so they did away with the fairness policy, and then of course, then you have Fox News and everything. No, we don't have to be fair. We can just lie and do whatever we want to do, and then unfortunately you got people who are can't differentiate between what's, I've jokingly said, that if you want to be President of the United States, you should have to watch all the episodes of The West Wing and maybe take a test. But to be like President of the United States or Vice President or whatever of the United States, all you have to be is, I think, 35 years of age and born in the United States, and that's it. I think there should be some other requirements, But it's a slippery, the people in the South after the Civil War, the people in the South decided, well, okay, if you're going to vote, you have to pass a test. And of course, the black people, well, the black people were afraid to go to the local voting place where the white people were, where they were the only judges and that type of stuff. A lot of black people it took courage to go and just say, I want to vote. But then they would give you, a test. Like the white person would come in, they wouldn't even give them the test, Wow, go ahead and vote. And, but a black person show up, and it would be, okay, well, there's this test here. Can you explain Aristotle and can you describe Aristotle's theory of relativity, or something? No. And can you spell all these words? Of course, probably the white people couldn't spell, but there'd be some tests like that, and to keep black people from voting and all that kind of, that just never. So I don't think you could do something like, because that's going to be, we've already gone through that, but I mean, Trump's supporters, a whole bunch of them, appears to be most of them Trump supporters. Now, of course, there's some Trump supporters who, hey, this guy can be good. I mean, for me, I'm going to run for such and such, and his craziness and stupidity will work out great to get me a, whatever. But of course, the Republican, both parties, the parties pick the, presidential, vice presidential candidates and the other candidates, down the line. So like the Republican Party should have, of course they wanted Trump, you know. The Republican Party should have said as part of their, whatever they call it, that they go, the party meets, you know, locally, and eventually they meet at the convention, the Republican convention, the Democratic convention, they go there, and then they vote on things, policies, and that type of stuff. And, you know, like the Republican Party should have, and the Democratic Party should have it too, but I mean, they don't, the Democratic Party, you know, doesn't need it. But the Republican, you know, it should be like, okay, well, if you're going to run as a Republican and be on the ticket in the various states as a Republican, you have to, and you're running for President of the United States, or or Vice President, you have to make public your tax returns, and then other things like that. But you couldn't go too far. You know, you couldn't, like, what my thing would be, okay, you have to watch The West Wing, and there'll be a test on every episode or something, you know. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I need to get some breakfast in me, and I guess that's it. Thanks very much for watching.